How does it feel to be the same sex as Donald Trump?
Why not just say, how does it feel to be an asshole? Because, of course, if you're the same sex as somebody who's an asshole, then you too are obviously a complete, total, raging asshole, right? I mean, that's the logic. A more interesting question would be, how does it feel to be a member of a social class from whom there is no expectation of civility? And I mean you, ladies. Hey everybody, John the Other here. Now, as like many other people, I'm responding to the 36 questions video from BuzzFeed. But unlike, I think, a lot of other people, I'm not responding to these as if they're literal questions, because I don't think they are. These 36 questions are actually 36 veiled insults, masquerading as comedy, entertainment, social commentary questions. So really, there's meta questions, and that's what I'm going to be responding to, because on their surface they're questions, but they're not really.
Why do you hate rom-coms?
Why are you dressed like a predictable sitcom's version of a dude bro? And also, do you really dress like that, or did you put on boy drag just for this video? But turning to your question, why do I hate rom-coms? Because they present, as if it is normal, a completely dysfunctional, toxic version of a relationship between a man and a woman, and women, the primary consumers of rom-coms, internalize that as if it is normal and healthy, and thus render themselves toxic and dysfunctional people incapable of having a functional, healthy relationship. That's why.
Everybody likes The Notebook. Everybody likes Beyonce. It's just a fact.
I cannot help but remark that this is an amazingly narrow-minded view. It's really quite astonishing.
Why do you make women sit around and talk about men in movies
When y'all easily just sit around and talk about boobs for hours?
Wait, what? Why do men make women sit around for hours talk about men? That's not a thing. Men do not make women talk about men or anything else. Women talk about whatever they want, which a lot of the time is men, much like you're doing in this video here. And your corollary question, why do men talk about boobs for hours? Well, they don't.
Why do you automatically assume that you won't like TV or movies that star a female lead?
This is not a matter of assumption. This is a matter of having seen a great amount of entertainment targeted specifically at women, which uses the trope of the Mary Sue character, which is a female protagonist who surpasses everybody else in ability and, intelligence and charisma and everything, with no discernible learning curve, no discernible character growth, just a super duper character, and it bores the shit out of anybody. And the fact that this continues to appeal to the largely female audience of entertainment is an indictment of that audience, not an indictment of the people who reject it as boring, stupid, and tedious.
Why are you surprised when women are funny?
Well, I'm not surprised. And why are you continuously attributing positions and opinions to men that they generally don't hold?
I'm probably funnier than
If you think you're funny, you've got to prove it, not just say, I'm funnier.
I think that we're obsessed with you when we hook up.
This is quite a stupid question. First of all, if I thought you were obsessed with me, I would not hook up with you. I also would not hook up with you if I knew that you were a feminist, which you apparently are. Third, I wouldn't hook up with you if you were demonstrably an asshole or a dickwad, like what you're portraying here. Now, I'm aware that you might not be any of these things, since you're likely just a hired talking head, and all of this rhetoric in this video was written by somebody marginally more capable than you. But that's what you're portraying. So your question is, as I say, dumb.
Why can't I sleep with as many people as I want to without being judged?
This is another stupid question. You can sleep with as many people as you want. Why can't you do it without being judged? Well, everybody gets judged for everything. Deal with it. Just frame that question as it should be. Why can't you police other people's opinions? And the answer will be self-evident.
When men do it, they're congratulated.
There's a real problem with this comparison, and the most significant part of that is that having a large number of sexual partners is not challenging for a woman, whereas it is for a man. They're not the same thing.
Why do you consider a woman a tease if she doesn't sleep with you after 3 dates, but a slut if she sleeps with you on the first date?
This is some more straight up bullshit. We're talking about a wide range of opinions from a wide number of people. Some people prefer to have sex early on in a relationship, other people prefer to wait, but there's also context. Are we going out and to a poetry reading or to the reading of a new novel or something like this by an author? Or is this a hot and fast, highly sexualized relationship? And all of this is being talked about in the BuzzFeed video as if it's one person's opinion. That's bullshit. Following that up, sometimes being what you would describe as a slut is actually the sexually responsible and adult thing to do, and sometimes being what would be called a prude is actually sexually irresponsible. For example, if you're going out and highly sexualizing yourself and then drawing the other person into thinking that there's a sexual potential there and then not following through, then you're just a sexually irresponsible jackass, or as many people would say, a tease. Deal with it.
In what world does no mean yes?
In the same world in which women are not always 100% honest, forthright, and forthcoming in their sexual intentions and desires. You know, the real world.
Oh.
Why do you say that women are too emotional to be leaders?
The only people I've ever heard say that are women. I think the disqualifying characteristic should be dishonesty.
Then justify catcalling by saying men just can't control themselves.
I'm really not aware that anyone actually justifies catcalling, and a great number of people question whether it actually exists. But in terms of claiming men cannot control themselves, the only people making that argument are feminists. So here we go with the BuzzFeed demonstrating dishonesty again. But you know, it's okay, because this is all just for entertainment, right?
Why do you think that just because you're nice to me, I owe you my body?
Now, I personally am not a psychopath or a sociopath. And what's being described, why do you think you're entitled to my body just because you're nice? That's the attitude of a psychopath, you know, a predator. And to be honest, this is not new, it's not edgy, it's not original, it's not innovative, it's barely funny unless you think cruelty and abuse is funny. And, you know, I'm honestly weary. I'm really weary and tired and fed up with this fake torrent of accusation masquerading as concern or questions coming from the progressive, regressive left. Women claiming to be, you know, oh, here's some questions for men. They're not real questions. They're insults veiled as questions. And, you know, let's go through a couple more quickly, and we can see almost every single assumption made is a fake argument, a straw man, a characterization without any truth or honesty in it.
Why would you ever send an unsolicited dick pic?
Why do you feel like it's okay to harass women or make offensive comments about women? You have to sit with your legs so wide open. How does it feel to interrupt me when I'm in the middle?
Let's stop pretending that this is honest. Let's stop pretending these are real questions. This is just framed as questions, a series of insults. And the point of it is to get people all pissed off, to get a reaction, and then you can later on point to the reaction and go, look how angry they all are, oh, don't understand, it's comedy. It's not really comedy, it's just framed as comedy. It's just allowing young women watching BuzzFeed to go, oh, see, I'm morally superior and men are bad and my male contemporaries are a bunch of losers and weenies and etc., right? I'm just very, very thankful that I'm old enough that I don't really give a shit about having to interact with women anymore, you know, trying to get a date or any of that bullcrap. I seriously feel great pity and compassion for men of the younger generation who are the contemporaries of these young toxic a-holes, pretending that what they're doing is asking honest questions or engaging in comedy, when all it really is a troll video spewing a torrent of bullshit insults. Why do I think it's acceptable to belittle women? Why do these commentators think it's acceptable to belittle men? The answer is, well, because they've got away with it their whole lives. But I think that's largely coming to an end with an increasing growth of men who just want nothing to do with any of this toxic, self-entitled, me, victim, victim, victim culture, saying everything that defines masculinity is toxic. People have had enough of that. These young, fresh-faced BuzzFeed commentators, people have had enough of them. And it is only the suckers who will continue to tolerate this or continue to put up with people like this in their social circles. Sorry. Thanks for watching and have a lovely day.